Hi everybody, this is Angie from Tourangie.com, and I have a lot to talk to you about today, but it's mainly about a covered bridge. We are in Monroe County, West Virginia on this Route 219. I've been doing videos covering my drive of 219, and up about minute 2 of this video, I'll be pulling into a parking lot on the left for a covered bridge. So I'm going to start talking to you about the covered bridge, and basically that's all I'm going to talk about. Well, I'll talk about a few other things, but just some history with it. So it is one of the most photographed uh, covered bridges in the state of West Virginia, and it's not too far from the Laurel Creek Bridge. But this bridge is now owned by the Historical Society. In fact, they were able to obtain a lease from the farm property owners. I believe the last name was Kissinger. Let me double check that. I'll get back to that in a minute. But they were able to obtain the lease to uh, basically turn this into a little tourist attraction on Route 219. So the bridge was built in 1898 by Ray and Oscar Weigel, and they were 16 and 18 years old. But also E.P. and A.P. Smith helped. The Smiths were Smith brothers, and that was like a stonemasons back in the day in this area. It is more than 11 and a half feet wide and 49 and a quarter feet long. And we're getting close to it now. Right there's the church. It's going to be up here on the left. There's a little parking lot. You'll be able to see it here in just a second. So let's talk a little bit more about this bridge. Um, so it was, like I said, Monroe County Historical Society took over and tried to refurbish the bridge. It had started to fall to the wayside, I guess as you would say, in the 1960s. They went on and dedicated some money and some time and got some help to fix the roof and different things. And one of the people that helped in fixing it all was the brother to the two originals, Ray and Oscar. Well, the brother Walter. He was 73 years old, and he helped in basically fixing the bridge up back to making it a great little spot for tourists, like this person right here, uh, to stop and look at on the way from on 219. So I thought that was pretty neat that their own brother helped out. Now, when they did the rededication, the brother Harold, who lived in Covington, Virginia, came over, but also one of the original brothers, Oscar, he came back to West Virginia because he was one of the original ones when he was like 18 years old or 16 years old. I believe he was 18. Oscar was. He came back for like the rededication of it, so I thought that was pretty neat. Oscar was actually living in Santa Rosa, California at the time. Ray couldn't come back. He had died. He was living in Montana and is buried in Missoula, Montana. So he wasn't around in the 1960s or for this rededication to of the bridge and everything. But I thought that was some really neat information I could share with you. I couldn't find any information, which I found was odd, about Oscar um, and you know when he died or anything like that. We just know that he was still living in a news article from 1974, still talking about the bridge. It was Santa Rosa, California, was where he was at. I had mentioned that EP and AP Smith, uh, they were major in the area. There's some history about them, but it doesn't talk about them as much with the bridge as it does Oscar and Ray. But those two Smith names, they were part of the Smith brothers, and that was a stonemason company in the area. The interior of the Indian Creek Bridge contains notes and plaques from previous visitors, and now only pedestrians use the bridge. And it says that it houses antique vehicles from the 1900s. And I did find out there was like a covered wagon that was inside, and it was from Rock Camp. And then there was also another part of a vehicle of the wagon. It was from uh, Sweet Springs, so that's close by to here. I'm not actually sure that those are in there right now. I didn't see them. But so the first like I guess you would say rehabilitation uh, to save the bridge was in the 60s. It had only opened for 30 years, from 1898 to about 1929, so like 31 years. That's when they started to build the new road, and that bridge was no longer needed. In the spring of 2000, there was another rehabilitation that happened on the bridge, and it was by the Hoke Brothers Construction Company of Union, West Virginia, and it cost $334,000 to renovate the timber roof trusses, uh, timber deck, new wooden exterior siding. So there was a lot of work done in that. So I still think that it's just a really, really neat place to stop on Route 219. And I was glad I found some information to share with you about the bridge itself and some of the people who helped to build it back in 1898. I did remember something else that I wanted to point out with that bridge. It was said that Ray and Oscar spent $20 on a saw to back it, back when they were 16 and 18 years old, and that saw was what they used to help build the bridge. It was even said that they were involved with the sawmill in the area. So that was another thing I found in one of the articles on in the Bluefield Daily Telegraph. I believe it was 1974. So up ahead, something happens with my camera, and it completely shuts off. So I realize it shuts off, and I turn back around and go back a little bit. So you're going to see the video change a little bit because I wasn't quite sure where it stopped and where it kicked off, and I just had to drive back a little bit and restart it. So there will be a section of this road right here on Route 219 you will see duplicated. So now let's talk about a historical marker called the Big Lime. And no, it has nothing to do with the fruit, the lime. The Greenbrier limestone, which outcrops along U.S. Route 219 between here and Renwick, West Virginia. This is uh, the big lime of the driller. It's a fish egg-like zone, oolitic zone. The Big Lime Yield and Natural Gases of West Virginia. There was the erection of this historical marker in 1963, and it was sponsored by the West Virginia Centennial Committee of Oil and Natural Gas. I thought that was kind of funny that a natural gas industry wanted the historical marker up. It just seemed odd to me. But anyway, it's really close to Union. We've either passed it or really close to it. But you'll see it on the right, the little historical marker. But this is major for the area, talking about the geological features of this area. I've mentioned it in the past videos. The sulfur springs, that's that egg smell. And that's what people were really crazy about. Built, what would you say, resorts at these sulfur springs. There was salt sulfur springs, red sulfur springs, and of course white sulfur springs on up the road where the Greenbrier is located. But it's the sulfur springs that people really thought had those healing features back in the day. So it was the main industry of the region, and for I guess travelers, that kind of helps too. But it's also important, of course, we know that natural gas. So I just thought it was interesting, and I'd point that out. So I'm going to end this video about here. We're pulling into Union, and I want to dedicate a separate video to Union. We're almost already at 10 minutes anyway. So you're getting a glimpse of Union. You'll get to catch a little bit more on my next video, because there is a lot to talk about with Union, and I'll have some pictures to share too. So this is Angie from Tourangie.com. Come to my website, read my blogs, make appointments so I can help you plan your next travel adventure. And I'm sorry there's a little bit of a delays on videos right now. I'm studying for a test. It's taken away for me making videos and everything. So I will be having more videos up shortly. Uh, Ronceverte, Union, Lewisburg area, White Sulphur Springs, the Greenbrier, and then also back to my hometown area of Bluefield. But I'll be doing a lot on the Bluefield, Virginia side, the Graham side. So I'll talk to you all later.